is the morning after a big spring storm, and this is what you're going to be dealing with on the roadways when you head out. Nelson Garcia looks like to be on the side roads this morning. We're going to check in with him shortly. And here's a live look at snow still on the ground. You can see it Coors Field. You're going to notice that it's sticking around on grass, sidewalks, roads today. Snow's not done yet. We have more coming again this afternoon.
Normally I'd say, hey, it's almost baseball season, seeing that shot. Not so much this year. Gosh darn it.
Yeah.
All right, we are practicing social distancing right now. You know, I still get probably 4, 5, 6 tweets a day from people that say, you're foolish for doing that. Social distancing is just stupid.
Really?
And it's not stupid.
No.
It really isn't. If you read anything about what's going on out there, or listen to the experts, or listen to the doctors, you know that this disease is really awful, and it's really contagious.
Yeah.
And you can have it without knowing you have it.
And it's not just you, you're protecting the other people. So
Right,
it's
and
thinking
when
about
we
others.
talk, I mean, we stuff
Yeah.
goes out 2, 3 feet,
Say it,
you know?
don't spray it, Gary.
Say it, don't spray it. So that's why we're trying to stay safe, stay 6 feet apart. You should do the same.
And Danielle filling in on traffic today. Nice to see you, girl.
Yes, you too.
Marty is out in the backyard. Marty, you've been saying that we're going to see another round of snow hit later this afternoon.
Exactly. It won't be nearly like yesterday. It'll be a very light, more gentle snow during the afternoon today, but we still have plenty of snow on the ground from yesterday. Up at Nederland, Lauren Smith with this shot with 2 feet of snow on the ground. You got to dig out some pathways for the dog to get out and about, up to about 2 feet in Nederland, almost that much in Crescent Village. Genesee with almost 1.5 foot or better in and around Douglas County, lower amounts to the north and east. It is foggy and icy out there this morning, and we're tracking another small disturbance. Natasha just mentioned it. We're going to get some more light snow this morning. There's a small area of snow right now over the Grand Mesa that will ripple through the high country and then head here in the afternoon. I have it pegged for 3 to 6 p.m., or excuse me, 3 to 9 p.m. today for some light snow to develop around here. And with that, just about an inch or less on the east side of Metro Denver up into Weld County, and an inch or two at the base of and in the foothills.
All right, sounds good. We do have a couple of accidents early this morning. I know Mother Nature not bringing us the best weather as far as hopping in the car and getting out on the roads. Pretty icy out there. This is 6th Ave in Sheridan. I know, kind of tough to see, but we do have a 2-car accident on the side. It does look like vehicles now blocking at least the right lane, so keep that in mind if you are heading 6th Ave again westbound. Looks like they just cleared up that one, I-70 eastbound, right there at C-470. Now, not a problem. And still across the area, well, we do have a couple of accidents, one right there on I-70, 225, I-25 just a bit further to the north. Overall, a bit of green, so that certainly is nice to see. Nelson Garcia on the roads for us today in Arvada. Nelson, plenty of snowfall around there, still kind of sticking on the pavement, especially saw, it looks like you're driving through the neighborhoods. A little tricky out there for sure.
That's right. We are driving through the neighborhoods in Arvada near 64th Avenue and Sheridan, just to show you that the side roads are really where the trouble is at right now. You know, we were driving on main roads and on Wadsworth and Sheridan. We were driving on I-70 and C-470, and those seem to be pretty well plowed, although there are certainly some slippery spots, especially when you get onto the on-ramps. But when you get onto the side streets, there are some of the roads that haven't been plowed at all. It is definitely still slippery out there, and there are spots where there is a accumulation of snow, especially when it hasn't been plowed as of yet. So we are, we're out here just to show you how things are looking right now, and just be safe. If you do have to go out there, be careful when you get onto the side roads, and even when you get to the higher speeds out on the main roads and on the highway, just be careful because there are still slippery spots out there on the roadway. Back to you.
All right, Nelson, thanks. We appreciate that. We are staying on top of developments with COVID-19 across the globe this morning. Johns Hopkins University is now reporting more than 10,000 people have died from the virus. Italy has now surpassed China with the most deaths, about 3,405. Worldwide, there are now more than 245,000 total confirmed cases. In the United States, there are more than 13,000 cases, 185 deaths. That's according to NBC News.
Here are the three big stories to know about COVID-19 in Colorado. One, there are now 277 cases in Colorado. Authorities say they think there are thousands more that haven't been confirmed. There were 2 more deaths reported Thursday, bringing the total number to 4. The 2 recent deaths, a woman from Crowley County who had underlying medical conditions and a man in his 60s. El Paso County says that he had come into contact with the woman who was Colorado's first COVID-19 death. Number 2, a state representative from Commerce City is the first state legislator to test positive for COVID-19. Daphne Michelson Janet was at the Capitol on Saturday. She wasn't showing any symptoms, and now she's urging people to practice social distancing. 3, Eagle County has confirmed the most cases of the virus. In Colorado Springs, there are 6 cases at Laurel Manor Care Center. It's a senior living facility. Workers there are trying to isolate the patients. San Miguel County is sheltering in place for the next 2 weeks. So far, no other counties have taken the step towards sheltering in place. John Glasgow is following the story. John, Mayor Hancock is saying he might consider this move for Denver if others follow suit.
Yeah, Natasha, what he's considering is a lockdown here of Denver. But he says that it would make more sense if this shelter in place were to take effect statewide. That way, more communities are involved, and the effect would be have much more of an impact, that is. So what would change under this lockdown? Well, it would be very similar to what we have now, but there'd be a few other changes. This type of order would be the highest degree of social distancing. If a shelter in place were to take effect, all businesses not considered essential must be shut down. Public and private gatherings of any size outside of a home would be prohibited. Bars, dine-in restaurants, gyms, they would all stay closed as they are right now. So what would stay open? Gas stations, pharmacies, grocery stores, banks, and local and state law enforcement, a few other things as well. But you wouldn't need permission to leave your house to, say, walk your dog, but your options once you're outside are quite limited. Under a lockdown, public transportation would most likely continue to operate, mainly for those who would need to get to the essential services. It's unclear at this point how local authorities would enforce a mandate like this in Colorado. In San Francisco right now, a shelter in place is enforceable as a misdemeanor, but it would also be an absolute last resort to enforce that. So we do know that Mayor Michael Hancock has been in talks with Governor Polis about doing something like this statewide. We do know that Mayor Hancock was asked and said, you know, would you consider this? He said yes, and it's possible that it could happen within 48 hours. So we're going to continue to watch this through the weekend. This could have a major impact here in the city, so we're going to keep a watch on this story.
Well, it's just happened in California yesterday.
Yep, I think it's going to happen in a lot more states too.
Yeah.
All right, John, thanks for that. Appreciate it. While most of us are trying to keep our distance, you heard my rant a few minutes ago, healthcare workers are on the front lines, and hospitals say they are running extremely low on personal protective equipment, or PPE.
Yeah, that's things like gloves, suits, masks. Well, Ryan Hare found a hospital in Glenwood Springs so desperate for gear that doctors and nurses have taken up sewing.
Hashtag GetMePPE is trending on Twitter right now. There are nurses and doctors across the country sharing stories about shortages at their hospitals. Here's one, a doctor who says he got the last protective glasses at his hospital at 9 in the morning. The day had just begun. N95 masks, they're supposed to be thrown out after every use. This doctor says his hospital is rationing them, that they're having to use masks for several days at a time. In Omaha, they're making their own masks. They're also making their own masks at Valley View Hospital in Glenwood Springs. I spoke to those folks today.
Operating room nurses Kristen Dirksen and Brady Heyer say you can feel the nervous energy right now at Valley View Hospital.
Nobody wants to do their job without the appropriate protection. When we feel like we are protected, we can do the job the best we can do.
And with a massive shortage across the country of PPE, they got to work.
And it's just going to help extend our stockpile because we don't know when we're going to get any more masks.
They managed to get a small team and a few sewing machines and some important protective material that won't let the virus get through.
This is the material that we use to wrap our sterile instruments.
They've put together about 200 masks in 24 hours, putting staff there at ease, as many other medical professionals worry about going into battle without the proper armor.
if doctors and nurses don't get the PPE that they need, they might be okay today, but in 7 to 10 days, we're going to be fighting this war without our soldiers. So
Nine Health medical expert Dr. Payal Kohli says Italy learned this the hard way. A shortage of supplies led to sick medical staff and patients being turned away.
If you're going from room to room using the same PPE, it is very possible you could actually be increasing the risk of infection, not just to the patients, but to yourself as well.
Tonight, the state tells 9 News that it recently received N95 masks and other equipment from the national stockpile. But they say it won't be enough to get us through this pandemic, and that the governor is asking the White House for more. Meanwhile, those on the front lines are making do with what they've got.
I think it's super important that we're as prepared as possible to extend the life of what we already have and keep going forward.
In Denver, Ryan Harrell, 9 News.
We've heard from you about making a supply donation. The state has a website set up for taking in donations. You can find the story on our 9 News app.
So I have more of your headlines in today's Morning Rush. We are taking a live look now at the futures board. It looks like Wall Street is going to open a bit higher this morning. You can see the S&P 500 is up in trading 22 points now in the futures. Thursday, the S&P 500 closed nearly 30% below the all-time record high, which was only 1 month ago. Today marks the last day traders will be allowed to trade in person. The equities and American options trading floor in New York, as well as the options trading floor in San Francisco, will be closed. 2 people tested positive for coronavirus earlier this week. All operations will be done online starting on Monday. Once again, the market opened 7:30 this morning. Excuse me, JP Morgan Chase will temporarily close about 1,000 branch banks. That works out to about 20% of its network. Financial advisors, small business bankers, and home lending advisors will start working from home now. Walmart is trimming hours for the second time this week. Starting today, stores will be open from 7 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. from March 24th through at least April 28th. Walmart will host an hour-long shopping event for seniors every Tuesday for people 60 and older. That will start an hour before the stores officially open. Catalina Marketing, a firm that tracks online shopping trends, says last week ended with a jump in store trips and spending. Total dollar sales per store were up an average of about 60%. Many consumers facing weeks at home selected items to help pass the time. I can understand that. That's your Morning Rush.
Just ahead, the government says it will send money to help boost the economy. Of course, scammers are taking advantage. We'll verify what to look out for so you don't get scammed.